This is Thorin's YouTube channel. Make sure you're tuning in, hitting subscribe.
Right, this is going to be another episode of Reflections, and my guest for this one is going to be syrsoN, formerly of BIG Clan, obviously Berlin International Gaming, and other teams, as we will get into. So syrsoN, one of the interesting things for me is, whenever someone comes from regional scenes, and as we're going to get into in this interview, Germany, even though it might not be as famous anymore, has a very good and robust domestic scene where you can play in the Meisterschaft and the ESL competitions, and there's all levels of cops and things like that. You don't actually have to go potentially to the big international lands till later in your career. Right, I always go back and check, like, when did they actually start playing? Because obviously most people will only know you, maybe from aTTaX and then mainly from BIG Clan, obviously. So when I went back, you were actually playing in those ESL tournaments when you were 16 years old.
Yeah. I really started playing early stages, I would say. I started playing when I was like 10 years old, and I got into the second division back in the days when I was 14. And after that, ESL, they checked their rules and they saw, okay, this guy, he cannot play because
you have to be minimum 16, I'm guessing.
He has to be 16. So they added their rule books, so I got kicked out again. And after that, I just grinded and I started playing in the first division in Germany when I was 16. After that, I think it was 2012, and then I switched to CSGO, and yeah, I also played my first finals in my first LAN tournament in CSGO with the German finals, and yeah, and after that, my career started. I didn't go full focus into CS because my parents they were a bit strict because he's 16, 17, and my parents are a bit older, so they didn't know what CS actually is and how you can earn money and stuff. So I decided to finish my school. After that, I worked as a bank clerk, so I have something in my bag. If really if it's not working with CS anymore, I can just work in a normal job, but that's not my goal for sure. I just want to play CS as long as I can, as long as I enjoy it, and yeah, and after I finished my job as a bank clerk, I started full focus CS. I just did it as my full-time job with aTTaX, with alternate aTTaX, and after that, I worked worked myself to the top. I would say going from aTTaX to Sprout for 1 year. And after that, in 2020, I got picked up by BIG, and since I played, since 2020 for BIG until February in 2023.
I saw on one of your old lineups way back in the day that you actually played with enkay, who was a figure that, it's funny, fans don't really know who he is outside the German scene, because he was actually, if people don't know, he was the coach of the Envious lineup, the French guys. I think he was a friend of NBK's. He was also with G2 when they made the super team, I'm guessing. And later on, obviously, he was with actually a proper full coach with Sprout and more recently with BIG. So who was this guy? Because I've actually heard behind the scenes, he's actually quite highly regarded. It's just he's not that famous as a coach. So who was this guy when he was a player?
He's a very good friend of mine. He's a really good teammate. He's also a really good coach. He's more a type of a coach who loves the atmosphere in the team, who's working his ass off and try to be friends with everyone. And yeah, as a player, he scouted me. I would say I joined with him in 2016 in my first CSGO team, and I played with him in my first team in CSGO. And after that, our ways, they part ways because I just wanted to finish my school and stuff and didn't want to full focus on CS. And yeah, then I got picked up by Sprout in 2018, I would say. And then he got his coaching role started in 2018 with alternate aTTaX. After that, I played for Sprout 1 year, and then I got picked up by BIG. And after that, when I got picked up, he joined Sprout. So it was kind of funny. Every time when I left the team, he got picked up and be the coach of the team. And yeah, then I also said to BIG, I think he's a really good coach. He can fit, and he is very structured, and he can be a good piece of us who can help us. And yeah, then we picked him up in 2022 or something like this. I don't remember actually. After LEGIJA got removed, I would say. Then we took enkay. He was still with Sprout, I would say, and then he got our coach for BIG. Yeah, and then we played with him until the qualifiers for the PGL major, and after that he sadly got also removed because we got also a good replacement with Gob. And I still have really good contact with him. I write him every day, and I help him when he prepares something. I think he's working for the Gucci Academy now. So I also said him, okay, I can help you like with reviews because I also want to keep myself in shape. I also want to stay in the meta, so I also like watch demos. So we just like exchange stuff. I tell him, okay, I saw something like this, and he helps me like he shows me like some fixed points for smokes and some moves, and like we help each other out. So I stay like in shape, I stay in the meta, and I also like help him like how would I play this because like of my experience, and how I can also like help this young guys. And yeah, I think he's a really good guy, and has a really big heart. And also like, for sure, as you said, like he's also a good friend of MBK, and also he knows a lot of players in the French scene. So maybe maybe we will see him as soon as a coach again. I hope so. I think he deserves it. And yeah.
Right. One thing I'm always surprised by when I look into like regional scenes is it's actually the case, just bizarrely, if people don't know this, in Brazil. Like in Brazil in CSGO, loads of the old 1.6 pros from way back in the day kept playing for like, you know, like the 8th or 9th or 10th best Brazilian team, and sort of like, just as you say in English, like kept your foot in the door. And they never became super big pros, but they were around. And I saw when I looked into your history, you actually played, I didn't even know the guy played CSGO. You played with TIXO, who, if people don't know, from 1.6 was in the very best most sports teams, was a champion, was in aTTaX. What was it? Was he actually any good at CSGO? Was he playing more of a veteran role? What was it like to play with someone so experienced?
Yeah, for me it was like kind of funny to play with him. I think he's a really nice guy. He's really funny, and I think like he didn't think in the beginning. Okay, he said to himself, okay, I'm TIXO, I can shoot back in the days like 1.6, but it was not like the case. Like he got like shot in his face that much, and he didn't put that much time into CS. Right. So it was kind of like he thought like, okay, I'm TIXO, I can shoot everyone, but in that case it wasn't that, because people like they were also shooting good back in the days, and he didn't put that much time into CS. He didn't watch like demos, and he didn't play that much deathmatch, and he just came to practice. We just practiced and played official games. But like he's a really nice guy. I had a lot of fun with him, and he's also a really good teammate. But yeah, in the end, like he didn't took it that serious, I would say, because he also had like a job. He worked like in like IT company, so he couldn't also bring that time to be like really professional. And he didn't want to quit his job because like back in the days, like the salary was not that good, like that you can live, because also he had like a own apartment and stuff, and like he had some fixed costs and stuff. So he didn't took it serious, and it was okay. And yeah, but it was really fun. In the beginning, like I was like a bit shocked, because like he's a legend for me. Back in 1.6, I only played Source. I never played 1.6. I'm a Source lover. So it was like kind of, okay, man, I have like the opportunity to play with him, and it's crazy. And he always like talked about mouse boards, about like some stories, and I was just listening like a little child, and was just because
sure.
Yeah, I never experienced stuff like this, how like the old LAN tournaments, how they were, and what they achieve, and how they achieve, and how they play, and like also like funny stories like of other teammates he played with, and I was just like a sponge sitting next to him, like getting all this information, and it was really, really interesting. And I also learned a lot of stuff from him, like personal wise, and also in-game for sure.
I wonder, actually, since you bring it up then, since, as I said, in the German scene, there's like a good and a bad side to it. The good side is there's this whole domestic scene that people don't even know, if they're not from Germany, how many teams compete, how many former famous players from early CSGO still play. Like it's actually kind of like, I would say it's kind of like how football works. Like there's like the tiers of the system. In theory, you could be some old legendary player playing at Division 3, or, you know, some other Bundesliga fucking whatever the fourth one is or some shit. So if people don't know, there is that. But to me, me, it can also have a negative side, which is you can get trapped in there. And sometimes, especially for the job, maybe you get 200 euros and you don't want to take the chance on the team where you get nothing and it's an international team. So I actually wondered, when you were in this type of era, people might not know, this is already, we're talking 2015, 2016, like there's already a lot of CSGO at this point in time. There's tons of tier 2 and tier 3 lands, right? Did you actually have an ambition, a dream, like I'm one day going to be on that international stage doing the things TIXO said? Did you ever think like maybe essentially I'm like a semi-pro player and I play in the German scene?
Yeah, for me personally, like I always set like goals for myself. I just want to achieve like first of all, like the goal was like to win the German championship. Like it was because when I played, like when I was 10, I always like watched the games and I saw like the German players who were lifting up the trophy. Nuki, for example, I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
So it was just like my dream, like to finally win the Meisterschaft, or is it? I think it's called Meisterschaft now. Back in the days was like Pro Series. And yeah, and like when I finally won it, I think I needed like 3 tries or something like this.
Okay.
I was like everything like fell off my shoulders, and I said, okay, finally I did it. Now I can go for more. I just want to be more professional. Just want to achieve more. I just want to go deeper into the scene. And of course, at that moment, I think like when I won it, I was still working at the bank clerk. I couldn't do it because like it was really exhausting for me, like playing, working, and like I sometimes just slept like 4 hours, and it was just really crazy. And I just also need like my for my work, I need all the holidays, like for LAN tournaments, and so I couldn't get any rest. So it was kind of exhausting for me. But like when I finished the bank job, I said to myself, okay, I want to go more deep into the scene. I would just want to be more professional. I just want to achieve more. I just want to play like the major. I want to go for big tournaments, and yeah, that's how I set like goals for myself. Like I think like it's a good thing like to set goals for yourself, like which you can achieve, and like it's also like the passion and the motivation for me to go back to the big tournaments like right now.
I saw that in a bunch of these older teams, way before Big Clan, you were playing with tiziaN, who obviously was a teammate for a long time. Who was he back then? And then also, can you give me some general thoughts? Because I actually feel like now he became sort of like a meme because people were hating on him because he had the bad stats. And then he's sort of forgotten now. So who was he back then? Was he a similar player back then? Obviously, people know now he was more sort of like a supportive role or something. Who was tiziaN?
Yeah, back in the days, like he was not that supportive. Like he was, back in the days, I was also like a rifle player. I didn't play up. It was like I was going like as the entry first, and TC was always like behind me, and he was just refragging. And I think we played like this in alternate attacks for like 6 months or 7 months. Then he got picked up by Big, and I think like in Big he got more into that supportive role and more into that meme and stuff. And I think like he's a really good guy. He's one of my best friends here in esports, and I love him, and I wish him all the best. I hope like he finds a new team because like he deserves it. Because like in the end, like the community was really harsh to him, and he didn't deserve that. I would say, of course, like sometimes he had like bad games, but like he's just human. Like it can happen. People they don't see like that he always like dropped. Like he dropped up to me and I just dropped him MP9, or I just dropped him like a 5.7, or he also like dropped AKs for the others, and he just played like bad positions. Of course, you can always like have also good stats in bad positions, but it's like kind of hard for the people who take that bad positions, playing with bad weapons, and also like getting really harsh from like a lot of criticism from the community, from analysts, and you don't need. It's like hard to perform because if you let it to your head, into your mind, like you doubt yourself, and if you doubt yourself, you don't have confidence, and like it's like a circle, I would say. So like I think he improved nowadays. I've also always played with him like when I was benched, because he was also like on the bench, and I think he improved. He's now also working out in the gym, like to get more stress off his body, and now I think like he's taking I think he found something new, and he's taking over an important role in the team now. And much more I cannot say because like it's not official yet, but yeah, he deserves it, and hope he will take his chance, and he will just show how he really plays CS and how he develops as a player and as a person.
So you already preempted it, but obviously syrsoN wasn't an AWPer back then. He wasn't just some guy who permanently was with the rifle, using the left click on everyone. Like for a number of years, you played with Keith, who people might know was once the big AWPer himself, if you go back to 2017. Right? In this era, you've given a little bit of the role back then, but how good actually was syrsoN on the rifles? Could you become an international player on rifles?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, because like I sacrifice myself like for a team. I'm just like if I play the entry role, I just see a lot of gaps and I just use the gaps, and I also take my mate with me. I say, come with me. I even do it now with AWP. But back in the days, I was just like a stupid guy, a young guy. You tell me, okay, rush B, then I would just rush B, even though like I couldn't shoot people. I didn't care. Like I didn't care about stats back in the days. I mean, I don't care right now, but back in the days, like I didn't have that good stats, so it was okay for me because like, at least we are winning. Or tizi, he often traded me, so it was just fine for me, and I also liked it. But I just also recognized like we don't have that good AWPers here in Germany, and in Source I played a lot of AWP. I was still the rifle player, but I played also a lot of AWP, and then I took like the chance and said to my teammates in alternate, okay, I will try it. Maybe back in the days, like we were thinking about the system with NIP. I think like they had no AWP back in the days. Like they were just playing for like 5 rifles and sometimes the AWP. We tried to do it by ourselves as well in aTTaX, but it didn't work out. So I said, okay, I will just be now the AWP player, and I tried to improve. And because like it was only Keith who was good with the AWP in Germany, and after that, yeah, I took the chance and tried to improve as a player and with the AWP, and yeah, I think that's how it went. Yeah.
As you said, obviously the dream eventually in these teams was, especially aTTaX, was now we're trying to be part of the proper tier 1 scene and go to the land. So I saw when you went to the minor for the Atlanta major, right, on Wikipedia it looks shit because it just looks like I became last place. This is where my role as the esports historian, I'll come in and help you here. The context is fucked on this one, mate. First of all, in the opening game, you lose 16-14 to Space Soldiers. And as soon as I clicked it, I knew it already, mate. Right? I wish I could hop out of a time machine and tell whoever did the veto, don't let Space Soldiers go on cobblestone. Like, they are probably one of the fucking most ridiculous upset teams ever. You lose 16-14. Then, because the Existence LDLC bullshitted that, like, fucking major winning core of Godsend, you had to play them in the fucking lower bracket match. And they actually won this minor and went to the major. People might know them. Yeah. Obviously, some mega players back then. Like, this is a pretty, I mean, in English, you call it baptism of fire. Like, this is a pretty hard sort of first big land, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. Like we also had like some team internal problems with aTTaX because like it was like the start with when Big asked like for Keith, and he didn't put that much motivation like with us. And yeah, this was like I even like recognized like 3 years later that we had like a huge chance to go to the major, and like we played the minor. I didn't even recognize it. Like back in the days, I also like talked to tizi, and he also said like, man, this was like a really good chance to go to the major, and we just fucked us up by ourselves because like we didn't were that professional, I would say. So I was like 3 years later, I was still like a bit sad or a bit disappointed in myself, even though it was like a really it was also so hard. But yeah, it was a really good chance to play like my first major and our first major, and we just didn't take it because we were just not that professional for sure.
And then I saw after that, it's mad because I have an amazing memory, but I barely remembered this when I looked it up. You actually played at ELEAGUE Season 2 in America where I was, but the problem is, this is where the universe really was just like, not yet, because you had to play Astralis and Na'Vi in the group stage. Like, if people don't know, they're probably like 2 of the top 5 teams in the world at the time. Like, what was, obviously the games weren't great, but what was the experience of actually going to America, playing on the big TV stage and all that stuff like?
I still I get goosebumps because when we qualified, I just ran to my parents and I said I would just go to America. Like, it's my first time, my first big flight, like long flight, and they also couldn't imagine like what is he doing, like, because how can our son like go to America because of playing a video game, and like it was crazy. They also like supported me then, and they understood like when I flew to America, like, okay, like this can be serious now with him, and we need to like support him because they still like saw it. Okay, he's playing video games and stuff. And when we were like in America, I was just flashed. I never saw something like this, like all the big buildings, and I was just like, like I live in a small village. I just played CS and didn't get like that much out of my home, I would say. Um, so yeah, it was really nice, really cool, and I also like remember the games. It was really funny when I now remember it, because we played like Astralis, Navi, and I still remember like we always did like in our first equipment round, we always went outside, always did the smokes and went down secret, and like we never got like out aimed or out equipped, but like against Astralis, like they fucked up our smoke, and so we had like they had a huge gap, and like they naded 4 times outside or 3 times outside, so
Okay.
we were just looking at each other and what is going on here, because like we it was not our tier level which we
Sure.
usually play, and okay, now we need to look at our strats and our gameplay and gamebook, how we can like improve this, because every other teams like they will do the same, and I just see when I run outside at the blue box, and I just see like 4 or 3 nades flying at us, and I just think what is going on here, and yeah, it was just a crazy experience. Like this tournament was so professional, and I just miss ELEAGUE because I had a lot of fun there, and they also like were really really good, like treating the players, and everything was on point, and it was a really good tournament. Like also like my first big tournament playing against really tier 1 scene, and I will never forget this for sure.
I saw, obviously, there was all the years when you were just in the alternate tax team, and there was all the German tournaments and the online cops and stuff like that, right? In these years, as I've referred to earlier, like you can still actually make like a real salary doing this. It's like Gavin, basically just like a normal office job, the kind of money you can make mixed between the salary, the prize money. Like if people don't know, there's a lot of tournaments back then. It's crazy because there's barely any now, but back then there was the tiers of the system were very, very robust. So what I want to ask was this: one, did you ever lose faith in any of these years? Like I'm just going to be stuck here, like maybe I can never get the call. Like obviously, as you say, all these other players are going past you. They're getting the call up to big or to international team. They're going to Sprout, and the other teams when they're out there, the lower mouse spots, lineups and stuff. Do you ever wonder, is it going to happen for me? And also, was it actually still fine that you're like, okay, I'm a professional still. I still make money. I can still do this.
Yeah, because like I was still young, and I told my parents like how much I earned, and they were like, "Wow, you just earn more money than your father," and he's like working like a really hard job, and so I was like really professional with it. I said to myself, I know what I'm capable of, and I just work. Just at some point, like the opportunity will come, and I would just take the chance, or I just try to take the chance, and I would just show myself like at the best level which I can. And because like I knew what I'm capable of, and what my good things are, also what my bad things are, or what my weakest link is, and I just trying to improve that, and that's still also like my goal right now, because it's kind of the same now. I didn't get picked up by a good team, which I maybe expected. I thought like it's easier to get picked up now in summer. So, but I still like know what I bring to a team, and what I can like what my weakest points are, and which I can improve. So I'm still like looking forward to the future, and I still give not up, because like I still have like the passion about the game and the motivation to achieve like everything I can achieve. And now I just wait like for the right offer, and I would try to use the chance again, even though maybe I take a step back to maybe play maybe a bit tier 2, and then I go grind my ass off to tier 1 again. If it's like that, then I will take the chance, because I feel like if you don't play it that much, or if you're not like on the radar, or if you're not playing like tournaments, I think like people, they forget really fast about you.
Sure.
Like it doesn't matter if you stream, because I also always streamed a lot since February, because I want to see like that I'm still in shape, that I want to play that, because if people like they get benched, they like take a break and rest. I didn't want to do that, because I was always thinking, okay, maybe like there's a chance to get picked up, so I just want to be like in shape. I want to just put the hours in. I worked with enkay, with the meta and how it's changed and stuff. And yeah, I think like I just need to wait, and I don't like I just will just use the the right team or the right opportunity again, even though like maybe it's a step back from the name, or because like in CS2 like everything can also happen
Sure.
because like everything is set to zero again, and everyone like has to find the tricks and gaps and smokes and stuff. So I just see what the future will bring.
Even though this name is going to confuse people initially because these are German teams you played in, I saw there was that one period in time, I think I even asked him when I interviewed him about this, there was a time when you played with, I know his name's like Voldemort now, but the dreaded Hunden obviously was your in-game leader at one point in time, right? But if people don't know, aside from all the scandal stuff that now blights his name, at this tier, he was actually a pretty legendary in-game leader. I mean, funnily enough, Crystal did his own mini Hunden version where, like, if you ever these guys are in your teams, they always get the roles right and the team's set up and stuff. What was it like to play with Hunden?
I think it was really fun. He's a really fun guy. He worked also really hard. Like he's a hardworking guy. He prepared like for every practice game or every theory. He was always prepared. I never experienced like a stuff where he was never prepared. And I learned a lot from him, like in-game wise, outside of the game, because at the back of the days, I think he was also a father and like a father figure and stuff. And he was a really cool guy to play with. And sadly, like in the end, it didn't work out anymore because like we didn't have that much good German players, and the Germans, they were also not like too professional as like Hunden wanted to be like. And yeah, it was. I enjoyed the time with him playing, and it was also like my first international team, like speaking English, and I also like that, not to get like a bit like international experience, like how like other players see the game, because I always like played with the Germans, and yeah, it was really cool.
Right, obviously, as you say, the team, maybe people probably do know you from Sprout. That's where a lot of you came along from, right? This is obviously the team where you hooked up with who would later become the big coach, Toby, right? People might not remember because it was mainly in the online era. Because everyone, I noticed in their brain, some people who never looked into it think it was just God B the whole time. Like, spoiler guys, he was literally playing Valorant for like 2 years or something. But and at one point it was LEGIJA, obviously. But Toby was actually in one of the quite significant periods of Big. So who was Toby in Sprout? Was he different in Big?
Yeah, I think he was a bit different, I would say. In Big he was more professional, and he was like, he understood like that he got like a really good chance like to play at the real top, and he got like everything. He had good players in Sprout. Of course, we also were good back in the days, but like in Big, like it was one step ahead of Sprout, I would say, at that time. And he understood like that he should use his chance, and he I think he improved in Big, and because like he got like also the vision from tabseN, and I think like they worked really good together. tabseN and Toby, they had a really good relationship. So I think he was different, yeah, because like in Sprout, it was like playing against tier 2, playing some tournaments, and here and there something like this. But in Big, like it was more professional for him, and he also took the chance, and he also like took me to Sprout. I had to Big, and he contacted me and said, "Okay, Flo, do you want to come to Big and play for us?" And yeah, I was like, "Yeah, for sure."
You just can't catch a break at these minors, Mix. I saw for the minor for Starladder Berlin before we all had to go online. It's the same thing. Like you had a super close loss to Crazy, who people know was actually good at that major.
Yeah.
And then again, because of an upset in the BO1, you play the Carrigan Mouse Sports team that at the end of the year was like the best team. You play them in the BO3. Like, I guess you're just getting an unlucky roll of the dice every time you come to these minors, right?
Yeah, but we should have won the Mouse Sports game. Like we were leading 12-3, and we played CT on us too. I still remember it, and they owned us like 13-2, and we couldn't believe it. Like we were. Like everyone was screaming, and also like there was like really frustration in the team. I never experienced stuff like this, because this was we had the chance again to play for the major, and we did it like we fucked us ourselves, because like we just played really bad. I think like also like pressure got us. And Kerrigan, he outcaught us, and it was like we also were not that experienced, because it was also my first year with Sprout, and all the others, they were also a bit Faven, Keto, they are also like first year in Sprout. And yeah, this was really hard for me. I couldn't believe it. Like 4 or 5 days after, this was really hard.
The thing is, though, later on, I know there was obviously that Dreamhack that you got to go to in Atlanta in America again. You came second. This looks like it was a big result. Like you placed ahead of some way bigger teams, if people don't know, and way bigger players that everyone would know. So what was this experience like?
It was also a really good experience for us because we played the Heroic in the final and it was also really a tough game. We often played against Heroic back in the days with Sprout, and it was always like an up and down. Sometimes we won, sometimes, or more often they won. And yeah, now they beat us in the final, and was kind of okay for us because we knew, okay, we did our best, and Heroic is a really strong team. But we also like had in the past often like second place finishes. I think like we went to Belgium. Charleroi
Yeah,
tournament.
Charleroi, yeah.
Yeah. We also finished second. I think Copenhagen Games. We also finished second. So it was like kind of a meme that we always like finish second at like Dreamhack tournaments. So of course it was okay for us to lose against Heroic, and yeah, we did also a lot of mistakes, and also like it was. The crowd was also like not for us. I think they were for Heroic, so it was also something different which we never experienced before. And I think it was okay to lose against them, and I think we were not that frustrated because we also like was also the first time in Atlanta, like my second time, but for the others, and they also like enjoyed the US because they also never experienced stuff like this. So yeah, it was a cool trip, and also like it was also successful, I would say. I think we learned a lot from this.
Did you not think in this era, because obviously in the story you're about to join Big, or if it's a party people maybe know about, but if I were you for like a year, at least a year before that, I would have been like, why aren't I getting the call up to Big? Like, for example, why is Big playing with this Smooya guy? Like, look, I won't go into it here. It's not my interview. Obviously, I'm not a fan of his as a person. I think he's a bit of a silly person, let's just say. But like, if I was you, I'd be like, bro, it's Berlin International Gaming. You want to speak German? Like, I'm right here. Like, was it not frustrating you didn't get the call up?
Yeah, I think it was frustrating for me, but I still know.
Because if people don't know, in the scene, you even were the name people always mentioned. Like, oh, they could replace him with syrsoN. Like, he's the AWPer out there, the German scene, right?
Yeah. Like often, like I read my name really often, like to go to Big, and why didn't you go to Big?
Yeah.
And I think like there was something in the back, which people said about me, which like Big said, okay, if it's true, like we cannot.
As in, you like toxic or something?
Yeah,
it's implied.
Like they said like that I'm not like professional enough, that I'm not motivated enough, and to play like at the best. And
wasn't true though.
I also said like they also knew it. I also said like in the beginning when I joined Big, I will never move to Berlin. Like if I have to move to Berlin, I will not sign here.
Okay.
But because like back in the days, like it was. They said, okay, everyone who went to Big, like
you need to go in an office and everything, right?
Yeah, you need to live in Big,
yes,
in the Big office. And I said, okay, I will not do that. And I think like they thought, okay, he's not like he didn't want to put that much hours into CS because he didn't want to move to Berlin and stuff. So
I'm guessing it was more about family or something. He just wanted to stay at home, right?
Yeah. And after that, like Toby, because like Toby also didn't say he said. I will also not move to Berlin because like I have two children, and I will not do that. And now then I thought about, okay, maybe it's not the best idea like to force the players or the people to Berlin and live in the office or live in their gaming apartment or gaming house. So after that, I think when Toby went to Big, like they understood like it's maybe not the right thing to do, and I think like then they changed their mind.
Right. One thing people probably don't know about Big is I'm going to ask you if you can actually explain the org a little bit, because people think it's just something like obviously with the tabseN topic, like, oh, it's weird. Why did you just keep staying in like the German team? Like the German's never going to be the best. It's like, it's not even about that, guys. Like if you know that team, I know this from knowing LEGIJA and doing shows with them and talking to them behind the scenes. He told me that team for real, you know, most big teams try to make the meme like we're not a company, we're like a family. It's like he said that team is actually like that, like expressly, like if you're in that team, you go for like dinner at like the owner's house and stuff, and his family's there, and you see his kids and shit, and it's supposed to be like there's a different vibe about it. It's not just like you're not just at a job like punching in and punching out. What would you say Big is like? Because I've heard this is actually one of the reasons why people are so loyal. They stay in the team. It doesn't tend to actually have crazy roster moves every few months, etc.
Yeah, it was kind of like that because like the CEO Yilmaz, he always like invited us to his house to have like dinner with him, with his family, like, and his wife. He always like cooked a meal for us, even though like it was like really stressful for her. Yeah, she always did it like when we were boot camping. She always like cooked dinner for us. So we had after practice, we just went outside of the office, just ate something, and it was kind of like that. We always met up with his son, or his son is also, I think, now working in Big as a manager, I would say. And it's also like the family thing, because like he brought back Roman to the scene, because like Roman Air, he was like working somewhere else.
Yes.
Not like esport related job. So he brought him back to Big, and he also brought Blizzard to esports.
These are all legendary figures from Mouse back in the day. People don't know yet.
Sorry, yeah. So they have also really good relationship to Yilmaz, so it was like kind of that they always work together and try to work as a team, as a unit, like they did back in the days with Mousesports, because like Yilmaz was also like the Mousesports founder, if I remember correctly. And so he also said to himself, if something bothers you, you can just come to me and just tell me, and we try to fix it. And it was kind of like that, yeah.
Right, when you did get the call up to Big Clan, it had to look awesome, but spoiler, like everyone else in the world, something messed it all up, didn't it? That we're not going to talk about, because when you joined the team, you guys won that Dreamhack Open Leipzig straight away. You also, I'll forgive you for this because I understand why, you also qualified to FLASHPOINT but didn't play in the season. But again, let's leave that to be. That's all okay. We'll put that to one side. There's business reasons as to why. And I'm not in FLASHPOINT anymore, so who gives a fuck? Fuck them. But this had to make it look like, look, no one could know the whole world of lands was going to go away for a year and a half, and there was no lands. But if you've been waiting all this time right below the surface of Tier 1, and you get to go there, you get to join the big team, you got the big players, you got the salary, you go to the event, you win it, you beat a bunch of pro teams there. This has to feel like I'm here. I'm finally here after all these years, right?
Yeah, I kind of felt like that. Like winning Dreamhack, it, for sure, like it was not like the biggest tournament, but it was a like, really important tournament for me, because it's close to my hometown. My family was there, my friends were there. Like they were just watching their first CS tournament, and was kind of like the best feeling I've ever had. Like to win this tournament, to win it, like to finally win a tournament, and in front of the German crowd, in front of my family and friends. And after that, I understood, okay, this can be huge now with Big. Now we had like a good team chemistry, and we fought for each other, and we sacrificed for each other. And I never experienced something like this before. And we also like talked English again. It was also like something different for me, because in Sprout we were talking German. Because of XANTARES. And and it's also like something crazy for me to play with XANTARES. I think he's the best player I've ever played with. He was also like a motivation for all of us, and because like he's playing a lot, I've never saw something like this. Like he's playing all the time, and sometimes maybe it's not the best thing to play all the time, but I think like he found the right way for himself to play all the time, and it was like a motivation for ourselves. Also like, man, this guy is again in front of the PC and playing. Okay, let's join him and play with him and have fun with him. And and after we won, like I think we won as well like the FLASHPOINT tournament in America. And after that, like I thought to myself, okay, man, this is huge. This can be huge. Like, and then like the Corona stuff happened, and everything like went down, so we couldn't play much more tournaments. But like we had still a good era.
Yeah, of course. No, we'll get into that. Right, I did actually want to ask about XANTARES, because here's what's funny. People think, right, that look, I am an arsehole. It's part of the character I play. I just fucking enjoy doing it. But when I do it, I never lie. That's actually, you can look this up. I've never lied ever in my career. So if I actually do say something, I might say it in a way that sounds messed up, but I always say what I actually think and what is true, no matter whether I like someone or I don't. So if you actually even hear how I used to criticize XANTARES, you'll hear there's actually a compliment in there, because I actually thought one of the few flaws to his game, he's actually a very good player if people don't know. I mean, his main problem is he's Turkish, unfortunately, so I can't be in all the mega teams. But aside from that, in his game, the main flaw I always used to say was he really heavily plays to his aim. But if you listen to that, I understand why his aim is fucking unbelievable. If people don't know, I'm not memeing. His actual mechanics are ridiculous in CSGO, right? His AK is mental.
His mechanics, they're the best mechanics I've ever seen. I think like you just put him in pit, and you as Inferno, for example, like you just put him in pit, that you rotate 4 guys to B, and he would just kill 3 guys. So he would just do his job. He would kill 3 guys, and after that we do a retake, and that's how we should use him. And he's also really good in clutches. Like he's outsmarting the enemy, and he's trying to just play like the best way he can. And I think he's also really good in clutches. He's like a machine. He's just, you put him somewhere, you just say XANTARES, just aim apps or just hold short, and he would just stay there and hold short, and just he will kill everyone who comes short. And I love to play him, and he's also still a good friend of mine, and I still ask him like about opinions about like teams which about offers and stuff. How, because like he has a good network in the scene, and
sure.
He just helps me, and I also like help him if he needs help, and I have a really good relationship to him.
Right. The one downside, obviously, to him playing the team, it was the same problem when they had Smooya, is it means you have to speak English to do the team. Like, there's no. I know people on the forums. This is where people are so silly. They always used to be like, "Is he learning German?" So it'd be irrelevant. Like, you won't be able to learn it in time to speak fluently in all the complicated things. And the reason why that's a downside, syrsoN, is this: most of the international teams, you'll notice, especially the good ones, play fairly loose. Like they've sort of just let the reason you make international teams, you want all these star players, and you play fairly loose. Obviously, the whole history of Big and most of the coaches you've had is like, we're going to play structured CS, and we're going to play like, you know, protocols, and we're going to do like actual like set approaches. Like, here's what we're going to go, and you be here. And if people don't know, Janko explained it the best ever to me when he used to be the coach of FaZe. He said the problem with speaking in your second language is the right call 1 second late becomes the wrong call, if you know what I mean. Like, it means that you can keep seeing like, oh, we knew what we should do, but it's like you can't. It's not the same as when you're all speaking the same mother tongue, right?
Yeah. This it is like that. I also experienced stuff when we removed XANTARES. Unfortunately, we said, okay, we will speak now German, and everything will be in German, and it's much more easier. But I recognize it's way harder to communicate in German, because we talked much more. It was more chaotic, and
it's too much comms, right?
It's too much comms, and was getting louder. Like everyone like overcalls the other, because like we caught like everything, we saw everything we did. And with XANTARES, or when we were talking English, like everything like was like simple. We just said stuff, or we had just name for our setups, which we did like when we were German, like we did sometimes on the fly. And when we are talking English, like we had setups for everything, and because like it helped XANTARES, it helped us, and it was like more easier. And like the comms were still like still hectic sometimes, but of course like it's official game. But with German it was more chaotic, I would say. And I also like recognize when I played with aTTaX back in the days when we talked English, I think it was more calm, it was more chilled, and people like they were not overcalling, and everything was like a bit more chilled.
If people don't know, before you actually had the big results online in this online era, you guys were already one of those teams that was just grinding. Like, before people even knew the names of those, like Home Sweet Home type, you guys were playing all those. You were doing the ones where it's like the amount of maps you played must have been insane, right? You guys were really grinding. Right?
Yeah, I think like we had like over 100 maps like in the past 3 months on HLTV. I think like this was really crazy. We played every tournament, we played every qualifier, we played everything, and it was like we enjoyed it because we had like good results. We had like we often qualified, and I think like it was really worth it to play it, and we had a lot of fun, and was really nice. But it was also like exhausting, because like during like playing all the 100 maps, we also practice. We had like 4 or 5 practice games, and when the summer break came, like everyone was like, okay, like we need this break because we put so much work in it. And it was like everyone was like exhausting, I felt like.
Right, even though obviously everyone now, I did tell people, I warned everyone we were going to have to do this, which is when we already were online, and at the time no one could ever know when it was going to end. So we had to sort of just be like, maybe this is CS now. So in the moment, we all obviously had to pretend it was the most important thing ever. It was the biggest tournaments. The problem is now, the second we went to LAN, I knew this would happen if the LAN circuit came back. We just sort of like Men in Black, like we flashed the thing and we just pretend the online near it ever happened. We deleted it. Like it doesn't matter. But at the time, these were, when we talk about these tournaments we're going to talk about now, all the best European teams are in these tournaments. Like this isn't like he won like an online cop or something. Like when you won like the Dreamhack Spring Europe, for example, like you beat them all. You had to play like FaZe Clan and G2 Esports. Like these are the best teams in the world. Like what was it like to win a big online tournament, even if it's online? It's still a big deal to beat these squads, right?
Yeah, it was like the biggest deal we've ever done with Big. I think like it was also like the biggest achievement for Big to like win such a big tournament. And also for me as a player, I never experienced something like this before. For sure, like it's better to play in front of a crowd, like. But we were happy. Okay, I think I was at home. I think the others they were jumping around in the office, and I was also happy here at home. And it was the best feeling, also one of the best feelings I could imagine. And we had a really good team chemistry, and I think like our work we put in on the server, it worked out because we played so much CS and we deserved it. I think like we just deserved it, and we just sometimes we also were one step ahead. We just try to figure always new stuff out after every tournament. So we just try to be like every time like one step ahead. Of course, like it's not working all the time, and it was really really nice. And it was not just the Dreamhack. I think like we also won like other big tournaments and
summer.
Yeah, and it was really nice, really great. It was really good, nice.
I mean, the other thing is, like I say, it wasn't even like it was one tournament because you had these like 3 tournaments in a row you won. You basically beat like every big European team that you played against. And sometimes, obviously, they were in the finals. And if people don't know, again, when I say the biggest European teams, I mean like Nico and fucking ZywOo, all the best players back then. So for you, especially as an AWPer, like this is when you made your name. This is when you became quite famous. Like, do you feel like you were out playing these players, these big names?
Maybe not out-AWPing, like it's still like a team-wise game. Like the others, they helped me. I tried to help them, and of course, like we had a really good run, and the hours we put in, I think it worked off. Like because like we won like 3 tournaments in a row. We had like really good results. We beat them all, and we sometimes we couldn't like believe it, like that we like beat a guy like ZywOo simple or won against Nico with G2 or FaZe at that moment. So it was just crazy for us, and we just enjoyed it. We enjoyed every moment, and we had just fun while playing. And we also had like the right mindset, I would say, because like we just tried to improve after every tournament. We just tried to improve like how it should be, like in every team, like because like if you like win a tournament, you shouldn't rest. You just try to keep working, and we did that, and it worked off. It was like, as I said, like one of the best feelings ever for me, because it was like I was fresh in the scene, I was fresh in Big, and winning those tournaments, like those tier 1 tournaments, it was just unbelievable for me. And for sure, like it's a bit sad that it was online, but it is how it is. We cannot change it, and I think like if people say, okay, it's like online era, they don't have like that much know-how about CS, because it was still really good CS.
You can't be bad at win put out. You still have to play well.
Yeah. It's not like that the others like they're standing around, but they also shoot back, and they also like they're playing from their home, which is like a better environment usually. But it is, it was really nice.
Even though, as you say, it's not because you went to a LAN and lifted the trophy, it still has to be pretty sick to wake up one day, HLTV.org, number one on HLTV. That's a big deal, right?
Yeah. This was like one of my goals, which I set to myself. I just want to go number 1 HLTV, like which I said to myself when I joined Big. Maybe it can be possible with Big, and like after that I realized, oh man, we did it. Like we were just I could like sleep for 2 or 3 days, because who could imagine that like a German team with a German roster, and XANTARES for sure can achieve like that, because like the German scene, they're very supportive, and they're very they want to every player like has a good team and supports every German player. So it was also kinda good for us that we can also give something back to the German scene, because like I think it's not the biggest scene. It's not as big as the Turkish or Brazilian one, but like it's still an okay scene. Like it can be much more people can support the German players. But yeah, it was also really good for us to give something back to the German people who are supporting us and who are like cheer for us every game. And I also just read every message from every fan or every person who wrote me, and it was just I had like the best feeling in my life. And after that, like after we reached like at rank 1, I got so many messages I couldn't read them all, and I never experienced something like this. And I thought like maybe, man, I'm maybe a superstar or something like this. But after that, I just realized, okay, we just reached HLTV top 1, and now we have to work and we have to defend it. But we also knew it's not gonna be easy to defend it, and other people, they also look our demos, they just also improve. And so we also said to ourselves, okay, we were just try to be top 1 as long as possible, and if it's not happening anymore, or if you are not top 1, just try to be in top 5 and just play good tournaments and just having fun and enjoy the game and enjoy ourselves as teammates. And yeah.
Right, one team that you guys always just beat, well, not always, but it felt like it was always, and this was a big reason why you were so highly regarded. And all I'll say is this story. If you know analysts when they're on the desk, we all have our own biases, but the good ones, you just admit to it. Like I'll tell, everyone knows my favourite players. It's pretty obvious. I've said it a million times. Everyone knows that if Janko's on the desk, he's always going to pick Nico's team to win. It's obvious, isn't it? Right. So when Janko was the coach of FaZe Clan, spoiler, if you're a fan, watch the years later. Janko never ever talks shit on syrsoN. Even now, if you play him today, he'd be so no, he could win this game, he could pop. And I'll tell you why, because you're in his head from those FaZe Clan days, mate. He told me that when he used to play, because your team used to just beat them every fucking time, pretty much. And he told me the reason you're a nightmare to play is if you don't have the AWP and you're killing them, then you get the scout, and then you always do that bullshit where you do like a jumping headshot on nuke or something, and then it just fucks up like when you're supposed to be against the force spy. Like, but what was it like to play against FaZe Clan? Because for some reason your team just matched up really well with them, right?
Yeah, we had like always a good game plan against them, and we also felt really comfortable playing against them. I think like they fit our system or our protocol, how to play the game. They fit very well into our system, and we just were always really good prepared for them, and it was just always like a fun to play, even though it was sometimes close or sometimes we also lost one map. We still believed in ourselves because we know what we are capable of, and we knew back in the days we also beat them a lot of times, or also some close games, and it was just really fun to play. And if it didn't work out with the AWP, then it worked out with the scout, and everyone like was hyping up each other, and we just enjoyed playing with each other. And it was, as I said, like the best thing or the best moments of our life, like playing against FaZe, playing against other big names. And we just said to ourselves that maybe we never know if we get like a chance like that to play against such teams, so we just take it, we just play it, and we just play also like our game, and we have like a game plan always ready, and the game plan always like fits. And if it doesn't fit, like then we go back to play our game and just try to play as in practice. So Toby, he always prepared us really good for FaZe and also like for the other teams. And like as a young player, playing against Nico, playing against like all the others, like simple ZywOo, I was sitting like after we won the game, I was sitting in front of my PC and I couldn't realize it, and that we just won, or that we just beat them and just advanced to the finals. So it was really nice.
Right, obviously, because this was all online and before the online period, like you were playing at the tier 2 level and you were battling to get through, it's obvious that people would say it. They'd just go like, one, it's just all online, and then two, because you were such like a flashy player as well, they were, it's just an onliner. I mean, spoiler, I've said it loads of times myself. Like, doesn't this, like, that, listen, if you're the player that has to sock, right? Because it's like, first of all, everything's online, but also like, what more can I do? There is no LAN. Like, I'm doing what I can. Doesn't it suck when people do that? Doesn't it get under your skin a bit?
I think like they often called me, like I got also like bad messages that called me cheater, and playing from your room from your parents and stuff. Sure. And like because like the others they were in Berlin, and I was like always like playing from my home.
Oh, so they thought it was like a conspiracy. That's why you weren't there or something, right?
Yeah. And I just took it as a motivation that people they call me cheater, and because it's just I never cheated in the CS. I will never do that, and I just took it as a motivation to just play my own game. I don't have any fear for because like I said to myself, for sure, like Simple is better than me, ZywOo is better than me. I just see like they are also like just persons. They are also like cook with water, as we say here in German.
Sure,
So they're just normal persons, you know.
Yes.
And so I took it like I said the sentence always before the game to myself, and I just played my own game. And also, yeah, it was. I also took like the cheating comments as a motivation, and said, okay, I do something right. It seems like, because like people they call me cheater, and yeah.
Right. Obviously, another coach you did have was LEGIJA, right? What was it like to have him as a coach? Because obviously he used to be a player in Big, then he was sort of like an assistant coach, and then at one point he was the head coach. What was he like as a coach?
Yeah, he was also a really good coach, I would say. He was more like the friendly coach, I would say, because
if people don't know, he wants to be like Jose Mourinho or something and be like sort of like man management and have all his players on like their mentality and shit, right? He loves all like stories about Michael Jordan and shit, right?
Yeah, true. He's a really good, also a really good friend of mine. I have also a really good relationship to him, and yeah, it didn't work out in the end because like we had not that good results with him, and we couldn't like fix the system with him, and so we said like maybe you need something new, something fresh. But in the end, he also helped me as a player to improve, and also like as a person outside of the game, because I still remember like one scene when he said to myself when he said it to me like with the scout on Nuke, because like I'm very aggressive, and I was jumping like on top of the garage roof on Nuke, in front of garage on this roof, and tried to fight them outside, and I killed one, I think, and then I died, and then he said to myself, yeah, maybe just play a bit more passive, because like I also recognize like the people, they also fear me back in the days when I played Scout, so they treated me like I was playing up, for example, and he said it to me, and after that like I recognized, okay, yeah, maybe I should like play instead of on top of garage, maybe I should play in garage and just fight them from there, because people like they use more equipment, they were really focused doing for my moves and stuff with the scout, so he also helped me with that, and he's also a really good guy.
Right, when you actually got to go to a major, you got to go to PGL Stockholm, but if people don't remember, I was there, I remember this. Unfortunately, you had the nightmare scenario. It's like, we're up 2-1. We'd have to lose 2 best-of-3s not to get through now. And then you lost them like 3 maps, like super close. Like, this has to be, on the one hand, it's cool to play a major, but it had to be heartbreaking the way it went. Yeah,
it was really heartbreaking because it was like the first major, or the second major, which like, or even the third major when I remember now. We were so close to qualify, and I really wanted the sticker. I never have like the others. They already had the sticker in game. I always see like the tabseN sticker, the LEGIJA sticker, GOP sticker, and I also like wanted for myself like, maybe why is my name not in the game? Like I just want to have it really hard, and it was really heartbreaking when we didn't qualify. But we also said like to ourselves, okay, it is how it is. I think like we had another opportunity, so we just have to grind, have to focus, and have to play like better CS to advance like to the real major, to get like the stickers for ourselves and for the organization. But I think like with the PGL Stockholm major, I think like players, they didn't get any stickers. I think that it was like only team stickers. So it was kind of okay like for me to accept it, and yeah, we just like said to ourselves, okay, let's move forward. It is how it is, and we cannot change it anymore. Of course, like we always rewatched our games, we try to fix the mistakes, and yeah, we just after every loss or after every win, we just rewatch the demos and just said to ourselves, maybe we should play this better, maybe we should do that, and yeah.
One thing that I think, Pitt, is probably mad underrated about Big Clan, and you particularly, is you're fucking amazing at qualifying for majors. Like, mate, every time you go to the RMR, remember, that's like where, if people don't know what's changed about CSGO, because it never was the case before, is I feel like at the RMR, same as in the Swiss system at the major, dude, it's the big teams that are shitting themselves. They're all the ones that are like, fuck, what if this underdog beats us? That's why you see all these crazy upsets, whereas like you guys, you were farming all these RMRs you've been to, right?
Yeah, we because like we were always playing really good in the best of ones like in the beginning, and we always were really confident. We had a good map pool, and we were always really good prepared. And we were always back then we were practicing, like we always knew like our opponent, and we were always like trying to practice like for our first game. So because if you win the first game, it's like some pressure gets off your shoulder for sure. And we always tried to do that, and yeah, we had always a good run. Because like the best of one games, I think like they were really good. They fit very, very good to Big or to ourselves because of the system. And yeah, sometimes we struggle like with the best of three in the end. So, but yeah, it is how it is.
Right, one player I do want to ask about, I kept it till now because he played with him for so long, is obviously tabseN. Right, you know the storyline with him. Like, if anyone made a documentary, this would be what the whole theme would be about. It wouldn't even be about the results. It'd be about the whole thing of like, he could have been in FaZe Clan or G2 or whatever, but he chose to stay in Germany to build another. And it's like that whole storyline that they do, right? Who is tabseN the person? It makes him sound like he is some like fucking national hero or something. Who is tabseN?
Yeah, I think like he's also like a national hero here in Germany. He's I think like the German people they like him a lot, and he's also like a cool guy, and he's like working his ass off. Like I also like experienced never this before. Like he was always prepared like for practice, for the theory, and he was watching all the time demos. He was like trying to fix our mistakes. He was trying to help the players, like to improve. Like if the player has some issues, like if they overrun him in pit, for example, on Inferno, he asked tabseN, hey, can you help me out, or can we just rewatch a demo together? And he just gave his input, and they just like found a mix between like both opinions, and then they tried to fix it. And he was like open. He's very open, like for CS, and he's working really hard, like for his dream, and for also like for being like the best German player or winning tournaments for Big. And I never experienced something like this before, like for sure like with HUNDEN, but I think like he worked more than HUNDEN. And he was crazy like with CS. He's like, I think like he's thinking like 24/7 about CS, which can be not so good sometimes, because I think like you need some rest, you need to charge up your batteries. If you like having all the time like focus on CS, I think it can be exhausting. And he was also like micromanaging everything, like also the players, because they didn't took that much initiative, like to take space, to take room. So it was a hard job for him, and I have a lot of respect for that, because it's not gonna be easy like to play your own game, have crosshair focus, calling, try to outcall the players, the enemies, and micromanaging the players when they like didn't take any initiative to take space. So yeah, I think like also he deserves better than Big. Like he deserves like a better team, but he decides for himself that he wants to stay there, and everyone should respect that. And yeah.
One thing you brought up is obviously it's not a meme. Like there actually was a lot of preparation went into these Big Clan teams. Almost every single one of the coaches we've talked about were people who put in the hours and did the, like, as you say it like that, like it's no big deal. There's a lot of teams that are barely doing what you call theory sessions, of actually sitting and doing a VOD review and going over things. Maybe they just like say some like pointers, or they have a talk on TeamSpeak after the game or whatever. That's actually like a level of professionalism, I would say, above the level you guys are playing at. And so one thing I was always mega impressed is, in the modern day, right, people think HLTV counted me, right? Because I always used to be the map pool guy for the veto. Because, you know, they do that best last 3 months, the percentages. And I've always told people the joke is it tricks you into thinking it counted me. Because if you look at those percentages, that only works if every team like plays identically, right? Big's the best example ever. Because if you ever looked, sometimes coming into like an RMR and a major, you'd have like some mad dodgy win rates, like, you know, 38% on this map, like 45. And I always used to tell people, this is why you have to watch the games. It's called the eye tests. It's not about whether you win win the game, because sometimes you're playing the best teams in the world. It's about how you play the map. So I'll give you a classic example. I always thought the same thing, that Big had like a mad underrated map pool. Doesn't matter what the win rates say, because a great example is there's times where your win rate on Nuke was bad, right? I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of fucking big name teams have tried picking into or drafting Nuke and have gotten fucking spanked by Big or lost in a massive match. Like, I don't think tabseN's teams are ever going to be bad on Nuke, mate. It seems like you say, the prep was there for the map pool always, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's like I always like have the words of Gob in my mind because I think like our assistant coach, he told him, okay, as an example, like we played against FaZe and they have like 80% win on Dust 2, for example. Gob said, fuck this percentages. I would just take a look into the demos, and because sometimes they play against bad enemies, for example, and I just watch into the demos, and if their system fits our system, then we even pick Dust 2, even though they have like 90% win percentage. So it is not how it is. Like the stats. That was also like the reason we always wanted that people pick Nuke against us. We had like, when we tried to pick Nuke, like sometimes it was, but when people picked it against us, we always like start CT. We have like a good preparation because they knew, okay, they look at the stats, they see that, okay, we have like 20% win percentage. So okay, we always knew, okay, we will start CT, we will prepare, and I can do my moves. I can just try to be aggressive to just like interrupt or like fuck up their system when I just kill one guy at 130, like the other Inge leader, what the fuck is going on? Why is he dead at 130 again? So we had a lot of stuff on Nuke and CT, and after that, like we just need like maybe 4 or 5 T rounds, and we often get those rounds. And because like we were good prepared, we just tried to do it. We had like a game plan. We can do this. We can do this. We can do this. We had a lot of tactics, a lot of stuff on Nuke. Sometimes I felt like we had too much, but yeah, it worked out really well. And even though like we had like a bad win percentage on this map, we always punish the enemies, or we often punish them for picking Nuke against us.
So, okay, you've mentioned one of the obvious classic maps. I mean, funnily enough, in the history of Counter-Strike, it's actually considered a German map, which even a lot of fans won't know this. It's Dust 2, obviously. And for you especially, like if you're a pop-off AWPer, this is fucking one of the best maps to show your skills on. Did it suck when they removed Dust 2 from the map pool?
Yeah, yes, it was. I was so sad. I could believe it. Like, why do they remove Dust 2? Because like they changed the doors. Like they updated it like maybe like 6 months ago or 7 months ago. So it was still kind of a newer map. And I couldn't believe it. Like, what the fuck? Why do they remove Dust 2 when they changed the doors? And everything was like it gave a little bit spiciness when they changed the doors, and some new tricks came up and stuff. So I was so sad. I was just sad, really sad.
Right. What about, tell me something about Gob B as a coach? Because obviously this is another like super legendary figure, but obviously he'd already gone by the time you came to Big, right, when you initially came. So what was it like to have Gob B actually come and be the head coach of the team?
Yeah.
By the way, if people don't know, in the German scene, they make him sound like fucking Yoda from Star Wars. And I can tell you, I've met him many times. He is a bit like that. Like he does. He actually is the Godfather. He just sort of sits there. He chooses to speak, and everyone like goes quiet. Like this is what he say. Like he is sort of a cool, mysterious character, right?
Yeah, it's true. Like he's like also like a true star here in Germany, and I didn't work with him before. Like I just heard like stuff about him. I worked with him like I think in the beginning of the qualifier for the PGL Antwerp. He joined us as an assistant coach, and he didn't like even have a table to put his laptop on.
Okay.
I know he put it like on the thing where you iron your clothes.
Ironing board.
Yeah, ironing board. He put his laptop on there. He just took a chair and he just helped us. And because at that time we had not a good team chemistry, and he helped us getting back like to be a team again. Because we didn't want to do mistakes, and he said to us, okay guys, it's just okay to do mistakes. Just go for it. If you have the good feeling, just go for it. If you did a mistake, we just analyze it after the game, and then we just talk. And maybe it was not a mistake. Maybe it was just unlucky. It was just bad timing or whatever. And he just gave us a big motivation when he was sitting behind us, like watching the games on his iron board, and this was just also funny. And he helped us a lot due this time. That's also the reason why enkay got removed, because the people thought like that GOB can improve the players more than enkay, and so GOB became after that became our head coach. I think, yeah, it was like that. And yeah, I just enjoyed playing with him. I was like sitting there and like a sponge and just trying to get like every information which to get to myself, like because he understood how I am as a player and how he should use me as a player. And he also like helped me. He also took like time for me and for myself, like when I had like some issues like on some positions, and he just took the time. He said, okay, let's rewatch the game. And then after that, like, he just laughed at me and said, yeah, Flo, you couldn't do it much more. You just did your job, and it is how it is. Like, if you didn't miss any shots, or you just missed maybe one shot which you should hit. But after that, like, okay, I had a really good feeling again, and just, okay, it's okay, this can happen, focus on the next game, and it is how it is. And I think, yeah, he's a good coach. Like, I read a lot of comments in the German scene, or something also on Twitter, that he's maybe like a bit old, like, with the system, but I think like it's combined. Like, I think like their system is still good, and they always like to try to improve. They always like figure out new stuff. They always figure out new
Yes.
grenades, because they always want to be on point with the grenades. That's what, like, it's important for them. They always want to be on point with their grenades. Like, they want to outplay their enemies with their grenades. They didn't want to kill them. They just want to smoke them off and let them save, for example. And like, they have also like a guy in their back. Like, it was the third coach. It was ZywOo. He's 24/7 on the server, and he's searching the grenades for them.
Right.
So they just, after sometimes he had really crazy grenades, like, which we shouldn't use, or which we couldn't use because it was too crazy. And I think, yeah, GOB is also a good human being. Like, he's also he has an open heart, and he's also like always he also listens to the players. Sometimes he also like has his own opinion about the
Sure.
game, so it's sometimes not easy. But he, after that, if you explain it to him, then he for sure understands. But yeah, it's
It can be a bit strict if people don't know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, what about this? I've got two things I want to ask about God B. One is, as you say, people, that's obviously the critique. They're going to go, he's been playing for so long, he's got outdated ideas. But all I'll say is this, is if you ever talk to him abstractly about Counter-Strike, like the concepts of like what roles do and how do styles come, he's like one of those people who's like a master of his craft. Like, if people don't know, the analogy would be, it'd be like if in football where they have all these like new tactics and setups and stuff, and like fake nine and all these positions. Like, yeah, but you can still play a 4-4-2 if you want. You can still do things like pass the ball up and cross it. Like, essentially, certain things are timeless, and he definitely knows he's mastered those things. And then the other thing is, I have heard a similar thing. That's why your story earlier made me think of it. I've heard that he is the guy. You know, in the original movie, The Matrix, the first one. You know when they go out of the Matrix and they can like access the Matrix themselves, and they can like download, like, right now I know how to fly a helicopter, like, instantly. I've heard when he gets a demo, it's like that. He just like watches the demo, then he's like this is how you beat Na'Vi, and then he just tells you like the 3 things that they do like all the time. Are these stories true?
The stories are true. It was sometimes really tough for us, or because we watched a demo of Na'Vi, for example, and we just practiced like a whole week, and before like the Na'Vi game, he implement like 3 new rounds, for example.
Okay.
So we just tried to dry run them before the Na'Vi game, and so we tried to outplay them with his new rounds, and it's kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, go on.
It was sometimes was really crazy. Sometimes we just implement like 3, 4, 5 new rounds, and we just written them down. So we because like we had also not that easy parts, and because sometimes we have to dry run the runways, because everything for him, and like everything needs to be on point, which I also understand, because he puts a lot of work in it, and so everything like needs to be on point. It's a good tactic. And if Keto, for example, is using a bad runway, or if his crosshair is somewhere else where it shouldn't be, then he's like a bit mad because like he puts a lot of work and people they didn't listen to him. But yeah, it is how you said. It's kind of like that. Yeah.
That's actually a player I did want to ask about in connection specifically with the God B era, because this is obviously people will know in the same era when you were #1 back in 2020, Keto was one of the players popping off and having big games, and suddenly people were like, who's this guy? Like, I thought he was just average when he was on alternate attacks, right? But in this era, that's one thing I wondered about, because when I look at his style of play, it is a bit chaotic. Like, look, it works. Like, he can sometimes run in and kill everyone. But I always wondered, because if people don't know, the thing you're saying about God B there, it's why he's a complicated person. As a guy, he can be a super cool, like, uncle figure who's like, oh, no, it's okay, like that. But as you say, if he's identified the correct way to play around, and you have a set, like, thing, like, as you say, like, the entry guy goes here and he creates space. If you fuck that up and you get your timings wrong and you don't throw the flash, dude, it's like at school, all deal. It's like fucking stand outside, like detention almost. Like, so I always wondered when Keto got benched, people just assume, again, they look at stats like, he must have had a bad thing. Like, I'm getting the vibe in this era, he was a bit lost in his role maybe, or didn't fit the team.
I think like it was like he shouldn't be benched because he was sacrificing a lot for us. He was always the first guy. He even though like the tactics were not so good, he just ran out with full confidence, with full focus, and he just got got killed because as an entry it's sometimes really hard, and he sacrificed a lot. After every game we lost, he was always the first guy who put up his keyboard, his mouse, and he just played deathmatch when we lost. And he has so much motivation, and he just wants to improve really hard as a player. And he got also a lot of criticism, and I think he handled it a bit better than tiziaN, for example. And he just said to himself, I play a lot. I do everything what I can do. I just listen to the cards. I just do everything like they want for me, and I just analyze the demos with Gob. I just analyze the demos he analyzed it by himself alone, and he was really hardworking as well. And I think like it was the wrong way to bench him, because I think like Big also recognized it when he played like for the academy team. So they want him to take more responsibility, like he took over the in-game leader role and stuff like that. But they recognize, okay, we need this guy back, and because no one at that time didn't want to sacrifice for the team, and he was the guy who was missing and who was running first. Like he still wants to do it. Like he's like how do I say it? Like in English, he's like, if you say rush B, he would just do it, even though like he's a soldier, yeah. And we were just missing him when he played for the academy, and he got also a lot of experience like for the in-game leader role when he also coordinated like the academy players. So after he came back, he took another role in the team. He was usually like the second voice, but like it was split up like between me and him, who like supported tabseN with calling. And I think it also helped him playing with the academies, but I think like it was the wrong decision for him. But yeah, he's a really cool guy. I have like I hang out with him, and he's like a really good friend of mine. And yeah, I just hope he delivers for OG, and he deserves it 100%. And I hope he will take his chance and just show like the world what he's capable of, and that he still shoots head like as a soldier, you know, and just gives a fuck about everything. He's just a really good teammate.
I always tell people when I'm looking historically at CS, it's like there's a ladder to competition, and you have to go rung by rung up the ladder. Like you start online, you get good there, you can get into a cup, you win a cup, you get through a qualifier, you go to a LAN, like in your career, you come last place at the LAN, and it's really hard, and you find it's another level. Then you get to like at those smaller LANs, you're in the final, you win one of it. It goes like that. And if you look at people's careers, it's very rare someone skips it. Like someone like Monacy, I don't know how we just jumped up like 10 steps on the ladder. Like ZywOo, some people can just do it. But normal people, you have to go step by step. Your career is one of the most ridiculous examples I've ever seen. Like every rung, you have to get to the next one. And the one that obviously you've been stuck at so far is the amount of times, like we've talked about here, that you've been like this close to making the playoffs at the major. And this last one at Rio was the worst one ever. I don't know if you have the term in German, like we have online, nightmare fuel. This one has to be nightmare fuel, dude, because not only are you getting like some of the best teams in these BO3s, but like the last opponent's like bloody Na'Vi. Like this has to be like one of the most brutal tournaments ever because everything was going great before that. It was looking like you were going to make it.
Yeah, it was like also it was really crazy. Like we got like Na'Vi in the deciding game to get to the major. Of course, like we had like 2 opportunities before, but it was also an experience we never had before. Like with the Furia game, for example, we won like the opening game against them. We did a huge comeback on Vertigo. We won against them, but after that, like we played them. I think like it was a 2-0 game again or 2-1. We should have beat them again. We were really confident, but like the crowd, they were crazy, and it was also like. Yeah, they were also like telling the position and stuff.
Shouting out stuff, yeah. It makes it harder to play structured CS, obviously, yeah.
So I think like it was like 3 or 4 times where they shouted and like the people know we were from behind or so it was kind of hard. I think it also got into our head because it was it was unfair, I think. But it is how it is. Like you cannot change it. After that, we accepted. We said, okay, we have a new chance. But after that, like I think we got Na'Vi in the last game, and we said, oh man, this is gonna be really hard. And we just tried to give our best, try to give everything. But for sure, like we knew it's gonna be really hard. And we were again really close to the playoffs. I never played playoffs. It was always that close, and I hope like in the future I will make it to the playoffs because like it's one of my dreams, like or the biggest goal which I have, like to play the playoffs, to get like into a top 5, top 4, top 3. Then why not winning the major? But if you lose always that close, it's unlucky, I would say. Sometimes it's also unlucky. Sometimes like of course like if you play bad, then it is how it is. But it was also sometimes unlucky for me and also like for the team. And yeah, I hope like in the future it will be better, and maybe hopefully I will reach the playoffs.
Right, like I said with that analogy of the ladder, it's actually why I get why like younger or more inexperienced players think that we're like trash talking them, because the point is when you get to like these matches here, this is where, sure, if it's online tournament, if it's a random group stage and a blast, yeah, you might be able to beat Simple. You might even do better than him in some games. You might play against ZywOo, you might have an off game, or you might have both great games. It's awesome. But these players, when it's like the ultimate matches, like they are another level up, right? Like, they are. It's not overrated. Like, I don't. We're not going off 40 stats, but like, these guys are unbelievable, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really confident. They know, okay, the enemies, like they always fear him for sure. Like you shouldn't do that. Of course, like you need to respect every player, but you should not fear them. But they know that the enemies they fear them, so they can do whatever they want. If they, for example, they have a clutch ZywOo, for example, if you see like open the scoreboard and see, okay, 1 or 2 like ZywOo against 2, so they get into your mind like before even the game starts. Like it's crazy, but it's also like I enjoy it to play against them because you learn a lot of stuff because they punish you. They punish the others. They don't punish you that much like as ZywOo is Simple, or also like the other good AWPers like Shiro, for example, or Brokey or Modesty. Like they always like punish you for your mistakes, and that's also like a good way to improve as a player. Like if you rewatch the game and just say, okay, maybe it was not the best move, not the best setup or whatever. So it's also like good to have games like that, because otherwise you will not learn, because like in practice, like people they do also whatever they want. They don't take it that serious because also they want to train or practice stuff. So and you should just use the opportunity to play against such players like ZywOo, Simple, and all the really good AWPers or all the really good players to get on the next level, to also like to be like maybe it's gonna be really hard to be on the same level as them, but to be as close as possible to them, like to also like shoot back, for example, to also punish their mistakes, because like everyone is doing mistakes, so it's just how it is. And yeah, it's kind of like that.
Right, you said earlier that when you were playing with God B, also he was giving some like pointers of like how to use you as an AWPer. How should someone ideally? What's the best way to use syrsoN? How do you get the best out of him?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that. For sure, like people know that I have a lot of moves. Let's for example, in the start of the round, I just give an information to the IGL, to tabseN. Maybe I have a good spawn for BFs. I can do that. I can peek BFs. I can do go for the mid peak, and he still can also decides if he has something else in his mind. He says just no, it's totally fine for me. But if I just get the chance, often he said just yes, because he also had trust in me. I just go for the BFs peak, and I always like have a plan A or a plan B in my mind. If I kill him, I just go further. I just hold the rotation for kitchen, so my teammates they can overrun me. Or just hold short, because probably the second B guy on Mirashi should be short, so I just hold him short. So, but if it's not happening, then I take plan B. I just take a shot, maybe zoom, make any pressure, because it's also fears the enemies, because when they hear me zooming in BFs, for example, they call
Right.
the BFs. Maybe they try to push A, or they try to push up mid. So I also use the zoom sound
to
as
bait them
an
out a bit, right?
yeah. So just if I don't kill him, I just leave B and I just go back to mid and just follow the plan, and then I will just try to get into a supportive role. I just try to understand like how my teammates are playing. If they want to take connector control, I just help them with grenades, with flashes, or I just also help them. I also like it a lot. Help them with my body. I just stick close to him, and I just try to refrag him. Or sometimes I also like go as first, because I also use like the AWP as a shotgun with no scope. So I also like that a lot. So they always wanted me to do that because they saw he's really good at it, and that's kind of like after like the moves in the beginning of the rounds, then I just go in a more passive role, maybe helping or supporting the teammates. And after that, I think like going into clutches or having the clutch is also one of my strengths, I would say, because as you probably see, I always know like I'm a really calm guy. I don't stress. I just have always like the same voice, because I don't be like the guy who's like screaming a lot, or I just give like really good information. I just like give only the information which is needed, and that's also why the reason why they wanted me to clutch, because when I played like clutches, I had like I said always like, okay, I will do this, just hold my back, hold this, and they just adapted to me. And sometimes I didn't say anything. They just looked at me and said, okay, he's holding short. I need to adapt and hold maybe kitchen window, for example. And that's also what I like to end up in clutches, and that's maybe the best thing to use me. For sure, like it's not like that I want to do a move every round. It's also like spawn dependent, and I just also play like I also always give the grenade. I know a lot of grenades because of Big, so it's also like good for me like to if he had a set call, tabseN for example, I just was always ready with the grenades, and we just did a set call, so I didn't do any moves. So it was like I think like a good mixture between like moves and just playing a bit passive. I think that's the way to go right now, and the way our people should use me.
Right, obviously you can't say very much. I mean, technically you're still in big and we don't know what's going to happen yet. But obviously you were benched earlier this year. I'll just say for my part, I understand two sides to it. On the one hand, if you look at Big, I mean, it's had a similar core of players for years now, and everyone except tabseN, who in theory is the best player in the IGL, everyone's been benched eventually. Everyone's had a time where someone else was tried from the German scene. So I do understand when you've tried things over and over and over and over and over again, you try, eventually it doesn't matter whether it's like the player's bad, you just try a change. It's like, right, bring this guy in, see if it changes something. But at the same time, like I said earlier, if I were you, I would be like, bro, like, I'm the one who's winning all these RMRs. Like, I'm popping off. Like, how have you been able to handle being benched? Like, is it not blow to your ego? Does it not make you think, what the hell? Like,
yeah, it's, first of all, it was my decision to go to the bench. After that, like, we had a mutual agreement that it was like for both sides good, because at the end, like, we were not on the same page anymore, like in-game wise and outside of the game, which was not good, because when I be so long on the road with the team, like for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, like I need to still be like have a good time with the teammates and be friends with them. Of course, like it's not possible to be with friends with everyone, but there was like no team chemistry anymore. Like there was no team anymore. I can just say that, and I didn't like that. I often said it to them, like we need to do something, but they just didn't want to listen, which is okay. They have their own opinion. But then I said to myself, I cannot do this anymore because it's so it's like it's really exhausting. I just had not fun anymore. I didn't enjoy the game. I didn't enjoy playing with them. I just was there because I had to, and that's now how I want to work. That's now I want to live and play CS. I just want to have still, of course, I take everything serious, but I still also want to like a bit fun, like during the game, like enjoy every moment which I get in CS, and which I also get with the players and every tournament. But it was not the fact anymore with Big, and also like with the team. I think like the team split up like in 2 groups, and I didn't like that. So also like we had not the best results. We were not reaching like any. We are not going out of group stage often, I would say, and which it's not like I think, which sometimes is hard for sure. Sometimes it can happen, but after that, like we worked really our ass off. We played really much. We played so many practice games. We played so much CS, and maybe you should have played less CS. But like they thought like playing more CS, it's the way to go. And I was like really like. Really, I really was down. I couldn't like, I was just turning on my PC and was sitting like a zombie in front of my PC, and I felt like it's not the same person anymore which joined in Big 2020. So that's also like people, like my friends and family, they said like, you look, something wrong with your health, and it's what is wrong with you, and so that's why I took the decision. Okay, I just try to. I also for myself, I said to myself, I just want to try something new. I just want to see other philosophies, and I want to see like the game. I just also said to myself, I don't want to go into the German scene again. I just want to play for an international team because.
Right, so the goal explicitly is, I mean, people might have heard, we won't say which team, but there's already been some like rumor linked. Like the idea is to play international now.
Yeah. It was like always like. Good for me because I felt like even though like you're not being friends with everyone when you play international, but like it's like you're that are your colleagues, you know, and you have a really good relationship to your colleagues. Like when you're playing with the Germans, like you want to be like have friends with them. For sure, it's also like possible like to get friends with like the international guys, as like for example like with XANTARES. But I think like with the international scene, like is the way to go, I would say. And also like we didn't have that much good German teams, so it was just the way to go for me to go international, because I also like it, because I also like the calm communication which I experienced like back in the days when we talked English, and it was really hectic sometimes in Big and chaotic because of the German language. So I also wanted to go back to this, and yeah, that's also what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Right, people might not know this. It's actually one of the reasons I'm a bit critical of that list. But when they do the HLTV top 20 players, you basically have to be in a top 10 team to make the list, because it also goes by like how many deep you go in the tournaments, if you get the EVP and all that jazz. So basically, unsurprisingly, the only year you made the list was the online year where the team won all the tournaments and was number 1 in the world. Like when that year you were number 10 on the list, right? If syrsoN gets the right international team, he can be top 10 on the LAN HLTV top 20. True?
Yeah, it's true. I just need like the right environment. I just need to, as I enjoy playing CS really much. Like I love CS, and I love like the passion which I have about CS. And when it's also seems like, of course, I know that like when you see like the streams, I'm always like sitting like a zombie, not like being happy, not smiling into the camera, and not hyping up. I'd also try to fix that. I don't want to be like the stone anymore. Because I also said like when I win a good clutch, it's not for me like the job is not done. Of course I think wow, this was really good what I did, but for me like the job is not done. We didn't want win the game yet, so I just have full focus for the next round. That's the reason why I just didn't jump up like KD and punching my chair or something like this, because I'm just still like a calm guy. I just used to be like the calm guy, and if I get like warmed up with the people in the team, I can also like be a really funny guy. Like I do a lot of jokes. I just having really fun with the teammates, and that's also like what I think is really important, like to have like fun with your teammates and have had, because like if you have fun, if you enjoy time with them, then you have like a good amount of confidence, and if you have a huge confidence boost, like you can do whatever you want. It feels like in CS, yeah, because you take good duels, you have like good positions if you have confidence, and I think that that's what matters the most. And I think like CS is much more simple than we played in Big, because we played a lot of structure. But when you see like the really good teams, like top 10 teams, they play much more simple. So I also wanted to try that out, and yeah, and I just want to get back to the top again. Maybe it's now time again for me like to climb up the ladder, as you mentioned before, like when I don't like have the opportunity to play like for a really top 10 team. So I will also take that chance for sure, and because I just want it, and I just want to play CS, and that's what I did my whole life, and I just want to play CS. I don't want to go to work anymore, like working as a bank clerk. So I just want to live CS. I want just to breathe CS, and yeah, that's what is my motivation.
At the end of this interview, do you have a final message? Do you want to thank anyone or say hello to anyone?
Yeah, for sure. Like I want to thank everyone who's tuning in now in my streams and who's like supporting me, who's giving me like the good messages. I also like want to thank like my friends, families. I also want to thank you to give me the opportunity to talk about myself, to talk about all the things which happened in the past, and yeah, that's it, I would say.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I've been pleasantly surprised during the time I've had my Patreon and my Patreon community, the Skrilluminati, by both the financial support they've provided and the moral support. And so this video was kindly supported and made possible by Starlust, Theo Buenzelli, Ahmed Haju, Matt Pugnaccio Racula, Toucan, Jensen Go, Animosity, Tobias Bernasconi, Bot Pounder 420, Yurka 86, Tosh, and as always, you know it, a special thanks goes out to my main man, Jerky's Minion. Would you like to ask a question in one of those AMAs where I tend to go pretty in depth? Sometimes they even spin out into their own videos. Do you want teasers to find out who the upcoming guests are for the myriad of interviews that I do across esports? Maybe you want to suggest a topic or a guest. We have a channel on my Discord where you can do that if you're at the right tier. And of course, you could potentially take part in one of those lengthy esports discussions with me about whatever is on your mind in the scene. Well, if any of those perks sound tantalizing, put your money where your mouth is and join the Skrilluminati today via the Patreon link in the description box below.